In this presentation, I will discuss the physical, cognitive, and psychosocial changes that occur in female adolescents, as well as how parents should navigate these changes within their children. The important physical changes that occur within female adolescents include puberty, growth, sexual maturation, sleep, and nutrition. Puberty is often the physical change that's associated most with adolescence. The textbook defines puberty as a period of rapid growth and sexual maturation. Puberty will typically start at age 10 for girls, and the changes associated with it will take about 4 years to complete. However, it's important to note that that's only an average, and some girls will take longer to enter puberty or to complete puberty. One of the major physical changes that happen during puberty is called disproximal development, which is more commonly known as the growth spurt that's exhibited in young girls during this period. Typically, this is marked by the child's extremities, such as their arms and legs, getting longer, and then their torsos growing later on after. The next change that occurs in girls and adolescents who have entered puberty is their sexual maturation. Girls in this stage experience physical changes through primary and secondary sexual characteristics. The primary sexual characteristics they experience have to do with the development of their reproductive organs. Some of the changes that occur in this period is the growth of the uterus and the menarche, which is also known as the first menstruation period. The development of young girls' sexual organs and menstruation allows them to develop the ability to become pregnant, which cannot happen before puberty. The other changes that occur during this period are called secondary sexual characteristics. These characteristics include the development of thick, coarse body hair on the pubic and underarm areas. Young girls' hips also get wider and they start to develop breasts. Girls in puberty will also get acne on their face and other parts of their body, which can lead to girls beginning to become more self conscious and worried about being accepted by their peers. Another big physical change in adolescent girls is their sleep schedule. As they enter adolescence, girls need more sleep. Adolescents need around 8 to 10 hours of sleep, but they often do not achieve that. During this time, adolescents are busy with school and their new social lives, which keep them busy. They're learning to juggle these parts of their life and often have responsibilities in their home life as well. Changes in their circadian rhythm also make it hard for them to get enough sleep. Adolescents often have to stay up later, which leads them to not get enough sleep due to the early start times of their schools. According to the CDC, later start times in schools allow kids to get more sleep and are associated with better mental and physical health. Another big factor that leads to less sleep for adolescents is the development of social media. Technology has allowed for social media to be more accessible for children and teenagers, and that often leads to more screen time and less sleep due to communicating with friends and spending time on social media. When it comes to puberty, parents should know that research suggests that earlier puberty is associated with mental health problems and often leads to their daughter being treated differently. The physical growth that happens in puberty, such as height and breasts, can cause problems in body image in adolescents. Lally 2020 states that problems with early puberty seem to be due to the mismatch between the child's appearance and the way she acts and thinks. This means that parents should talk with their daughter about her mental health and self image. Another thing that parents should be observant of is how much sleep their child's getting. According to Parent 2016, adolescent screen time should not exceed 6 hours or sleep disturbances will occur. This means that they should monitor screen time and make sure their kids are going to bed at a reasonable time. In this section, I will outline the important cognitive changes that happen in female adolescents. This involves formal operational thought, adolescence egocentrism, and cognitive control. A big cognitive development that happens in adolescence is what Piaget called the formal operational stage of cognitive development. In this stage, adolescents learn to understand abstract principles such as concepts of freedom and love. They also learn how to use deductive reasoning, which, according to Piaget, helps them use logic to hypothesize what might happen in certain situations. The last part of formal operational thought that adolescents learn is transitivity, which helps them understand relationships between variables using logic. These are important developments that help adolescents start to make more well reasoned decisions. Piaget also mentioned adolescence egocentrism, which is defined by Lally 2020 as a heightened self focus. This means that young girls are more concerned with themselves, and as a result, they believe that everyone else is also concerned with themselves to the same degree. The book explains that according to David Elkind, 1967, this egocentrism leads to young girls caring more about what their peers think and stressing about their looks and possessions. In adolescence, there is an increase in their control of certain mental processes, such as attention, working memory, and cognitive flexibility. This means that they can be more competent in school and other intellectual settings. However, what is most important to note about their cognitive control at this stage is that their lack of self regulation can cause harm to them. Adolescents have a hard time controlling impulses at this stage, and that can often lead to them making bad decisions due to their perceived immunity. This disillusionment from harm seen in adolescents comes from their increased egocentrism at this age. In this stage, parents need to understand that their children are going through lots of mental changes. They can engage in different forms of formal operational thought, which would lead them to be more egocentric. Parents should understand that this is normal, but they should keep an eye on how much emphasis their daughter puts on what others think of her. Lally 2020 suggests that without the ability to fully understand consequences and self regulate, this egocentrism seen in adolescence could lead to eating disorders or other serious mental disorders that could lead to harm in the future. In this section, I will discuss the important psychosocial changes that happen in female adolescence. This includes identity, self concept, and self esteem. During adolescence, young girls struggle to figure out who they are and what their identity is. According to Lally 2020, Erickson created the theory of identity versus role confusion, which attempts to describe how young people figure out their identity. Erickson states that adolescents are in a state of psychological moratorium, which is defined as when teens hold on to a consistent identity while exploring the options. During this time, girls are trying out different identities that might conflict with what their parents want them to do or what society is telling them to do. During adolescence, young girls also struggle with their self-concept as well. According to Lally 2020, these young girls are often trying to fit the roles and expectations of the different groups that they are in, as well as what their parents and teachers expect from them, which often leads for them to be confused about their true self. These children will often feel like they are faking who they are or that they're imposters because they're trying to be so many different things at once. In adolescence, there is often a big change in self-esteem due to their increased egocentrism. Young girls are often worried about their looks and how they're being perceived by others. This often leads them to compare themselves to their peers and other girls in popular media. The increase in social media has only seemed to make self-esteem worse for adolescents. According to Bergana 2018, people who were higher in social comparison spent more time on social media, and in turn they developed lower self-esteem. These results are very important when applied to adolescents due to their higher social comparison and their increased egocentrism. During this time, teens also feel pressure to engage in platonic and romantic relationships. Failure to do so, like their peers, can result in a lower self-esteem. During this time, parents need to understand that their child is going through the stages of discovering their identity and self-concept. This can lead to a lot of confusing thoughts and feelings about themselves and the world around them. This confusion will also heavily impact their self-esteem. Parents need to check in with their children and make sure that they are mentally healthy and that they are creating a healthy self-image so that they don't have issues later on.